Any special today? 1 minute. Guys, please confirm to me. All of you get my voice on screen. Those are attending in online. Is my voice is clear to all of you? Guys, please confirm to me. All of you get my voice on screen. Those are attending in online. Guys, please confirm to me. All of you get my voice on screen. Those are attending in online. Guys, please confirm to me. All of you get my voice on screen. And Shabana, Asmin. Abhishek, you're asking the question, right? I've seen that. Already explained that question there. How are these directory match methods? Yes, Abhishek Sharma, I replied for it. How slash auth slash star is a directory match method. Even I given notes and I explained that content totally. Then after that, yeah, by the time you asked for there, then again I shown that content there, how it is now. Yeah, right. 1 minute. Shabana asked me. Then I think you didn't add your ID number, right? So do one thing, and on the panel, file option is available, right? File option is available. File in the panel, go to webinar panel, file option is available. There we have an option like edit your name and email, and just edit your details there. Durgasoft has given some ID, then enter that ID number. Okay, there we are able to get it. Yeah. So Abhishek Sharma, I think might be then some sync is not matching between you and me. I think so. Because then almost all I've taken some example there and almost all like what there almost all half an hour, more than half an hour. I discussed some content there, right? But still you are saying that I didn't understand that. No, I think so. It might be some sync is not going on between us, right? Please check it one more time. Videos I'm giving there, please check one more time. Why? Because after discussing half an hour more, almost all 45 minutes to 1 hour discussion, I've done it on the base of that. But still you are saying that not understanding in the sense, please check it. Where is the problem there? If it is really the problem with me, then we will think about it. Otherwise, then I'm giving video there. Once again, try to understand the content, what I explained there, right from beginning. In the notes also with the total explanation I've given there. Abhishek, please check the slash auth slash star I given slash star. How we are able to define URL pattern now? Like directory match method started with a slash and ended with what there star. I given that slash auth is a prefix name only. Okay, see this slash star I given slash well slash star I given. This is directory match method started with a slash and ended with a star. Okay, right. Anyway, then we will talk about it. And exact match method in this servlets. At servlets, it is exact match method. At servlets, that is exact match method. As to the same question at servlets, what mechanism is available at servlets and what mechanism is available at filters? I given that question also after explanation that explaining that. So anyway, then what I'm telling there, please check the videos. Videos are available for you. Please check the videos one more time. Okay, there I've given the total explanation or not. Should I have discussed it totally exact? That means directly match method only. Even that question what you asked there before that nearly 45 minutes of time I explained for that. Anyway, then please check that video, then you can understand it clearly. Yeah, right. Right. Anyway, then, so what we have to do? Tell me, Abhishek. Why? Because then the problem is going on continuously. It's somewhat difficult for you also. Okay. So give some time. I'll take some decision for it, or maybe then we'll go for some decision tomorrow. Don't worry. Right, sir. Yeah, it's okay. It's a normal only, but all members are saying that they understood clearly. Hmm? Let me continue the class first now. Then after that we'll go for some discussion later on. In a spring class might be then we are discussing about previous class content. Okay, fine. All right, sir. Now come for the content and what we completed there. And guys, now check it that in servlets, I think all of you might be attended servlets, right? Have you understand directory match method? Understood clearly the directory match method? Right, right. Fine, sir. Now come to the point here, and you are understanding that Spring framework. In a Spring framework, and we completed one example in the last class where we defined some properties under the XML. We define like what there some properties here we defined. Okay, in that properties here we provided values also, values and as well as like what there properties definitions we provided under bean configuration file in a XML file. Okay, exactly two properties here we have taken there. All right, so now I want to show some flow of execution, somewhat extra flow of execution for these points. Now try to understand this flow of executions clearly. First of all, let me open Eclipse IDE. Right, sir. Again and again, I'm telling to you, try to practice daily the programs. Almost all. How many programs are given there? Two programs are given up to now. So two applications. Try to practice this application, everyday application. Spring is very, very important. We are at very startup mode. By moving on to the concepts, automatically we are going to understand the real Spring framework. So, but here itself we have to prepare our programs properly. Daily practice is required. Daily, whatever the examples I'm giving inside the class now, try to practice them. No need to go for any other resource. Try to practice the concepts what I'm discussing there inside the class now. Whatever the work I'm doing inside the class, just try to practice that. That is more than sufficient for us to understand Spring framework now. Right? Right. Now let's see example here. Right. Let it come. I want to show internal flow. Internal flow in the sense like what there. I said you bean objects are created by container and setter methods are executed by container when we use that property tags now. Right, how all the things are going to be happen, just I want to give some clarity. Now try to understand this now. If you want to see something about that bean objects, some notifications if you want to see from this bean objects now, first of all here what we have to do there, I want to take a constructor welcome. I want to take some constructor here, public welcome. Inside this, now you know already constructor will be executed at what time? Constructor will be executed at what time there? Object creation. Now this is like what I'm telling there. So welcome bean object creating. Just I want to write some information there. System dot out println. Of course, if you want to list out the loading of this bean class, no static block you can take there. We can write like what there, system dot out println of like bean class loading. Bean class loading, that part we are able to take. Okay, system dot out println of welcome bean creating. That is what we are getting there. That's okay, fine. Then after that, after completion of this, what next one here? All right, sir. Now here, setter methods are available. Bean initialization is going on through the setter methods only. When we write that property tags, no, correspondingly, set methods are going to be executed to set values to the bean object. So now here, what I am telling there, here I want to write like what? System.out.println of, all right, now name property, name property initialized, name property is initializing, name property is initializing something else. Now some information here I want to provide, initialization. All right, sir, initializing that name property, that is one thing. Similarly, set message is available, message property is initializing, message property is initializing. All right, sir, setter methods only. With respect to the property tags, these things are going to be happen. Okay, fine. Now anyway, now this is a business method that we called here. So automatically here we are getting some content. Okay, let's observe carefully. Object creating, properties initialization that we listed here inside this now. Next one. Now here I'm going to be specific here. System.out.println of, this is like what there before application context, before application context, right sir, before application context startup, before application context startup. Okay, all right sir, now before application context startup, that I'm writing there. Now here uh, here I want to write like what there, system.out.println after application context startup, application context startup, after application context startup. Of course, now intentionally I have written this statement after welcome bean object, after getting that welcome bean object. Don't worry for it. Intentionally I have written that. Okay, later I will give the difference also. Don't worry for it. Now these are the various logs here I maintained in my program. If I execute this program like this, there we can understand clearly how that bean objects are going to be created and when bean objects are going to be created. All the points here we are able to understand. Now let's see this clearly. Let me execute this. If I execute this program, here we are getting some logs. First now observe carefully here what we are getting there. Before application context startup. That means application context is not started so far. This is what there now application context is started. It is trying to create what object here? Bean object is creating. After creating bean object, then what was performed there now? Name property is initializing, message property is initializing. After that, what we are getting there? After application context startup. Okay, that means application context started. Now this is before application context startup, this is after application context startup. Between that, what is that now? Between these two, application context is starting or not, application context is created or not. While creating application context, what object is created there? Welcome bean object is created, and both the properties are initialized or not? Initialized. After that, when we call this say welcome method, there we are getting this particular output. There we are getting like what there? This particular output. What is this output here now? Hello Durga, then welcome to Durgasoft. This message here we are getting clearly. Sir, all of you are getting my point or not? So this is a clear-cut information here we have to understand now. Right, sir. This is the flow of execution here. If you understand that, I think not required to do any changes in our program there. Whatever the program I shared there, that we can prepare directly. That's okay, fine. Now let me prepare one more application. It may give somewhat clarity. Again here, now tell me, along with this, along with me, we have to give clarity on these points here. Try to understand this clearly. Right click on application here, Java project app03, app03. Right, everything is okay. Click on next button and click on like what there, finish button. That's okay, fine. Previously, I created library or not? Yes, sir, library I created or not? That I want to add directly. The main intention of taking this project is for the sake of adding library directly. Already created that one time. Right click on project. Here click on like what there, properties. Here go with what there, Java build path. Now class path, add library, not add external jars. Now here we have to say what there, add library. Click on this library, user library, where Spring 5 lib is already available or not. Now select it and click on finish button. That's finish. No need to select jar files every time. Not required to do any jar files every time here. Directly we can add this library. Automatically the library will come to our application. Then after that apply and close. Now this library is added. Next one, prepare the packages. What packages can we require there? Right click on src, new. Now here we need to go for like what are the package. Now observe carefully what are the packages can we require. No, com dot Durgasoft dot. First one is like what are the beans. Let me prepare some beans here now. 1 minute now. Let me think about it. What application here I want to prepare there. 1 minute. Right, sir. Okay, fine. Anyway, now observe carefully. I want to prepare a bean class. Simple bean class here I want to prepare some logic. I want to prepare something else. What we have to do? Messages here we have to take name and message. Name is common and message is something else different. Initial data. Okay. Okay. Now let me check this. I want to take namesake. Then bean employee bean here I want to take. Now insert this employee bean. What I'm going to do there? Observe carefully. Private int env. Private string e name. The private float e shell. Private string e addr. These many things here I have taken. Then after that, we required setters and getters here. To generate the setters and getters in Eclipse, what we have to do there? Right click. Then we have to go with what there? Source. Then what we have to select there? Generate getters and setters. All right. So now select all. Then click on what button here? Generate button. All right. So now bean is ready. Inside the bean, I need to define my business logic also. What is my business logic actually? Now my business logic is like what there? Public, like void, like display employee details. This is my business method. Namesake, just business method here I've written. I want to display all the employee details clearly. How I'm going to display these employee details now? Sys.out.println of employee details. Sys.out.println of line space. Here we provide it. Then after that, sys.out.println of employee number. Now here already variable is existed here about this employee number. Here we can take like what there employee envo, employee number. Next one is employee name. Here we have to display like what there employee name. Next one is employee salary, e sal. Then after that e added here employee address. E added here. All the data here we provided. Now bean component is ready. Tell me guys, after this bean component, what we have to prepare there? Come on, what we have to prepare there? Spring configuration file here we have to prepare or not? Here we have to prepare what there? Spring configuration file. How we are able to prepare this Spring configuration file here? Observe carefully. Now here, right click on project. Right click on project, then we have to go with what there? New. In a new, what we have to provide there? Now tell me resource folder. New. Then what we have to provide there? Resource folder. Click on this resource folder. Now the folder name, that means source folder actually, not resource folder. All right, so that name of the folder is what the resources. Resources. Why I'm taking these resources now? Is it mandatory to take these resources here? Is it mandatory to take these resources? Is it not possible to provide XML file in the normal packages? No. Do you, we don't not at all possible to create any folder to keep this resources? No, that like what the XML file. Is it mandatory to take this source folder? You may have some doubts there. Okay, now in this example, I'm going to show all possibilities of XML file where we are able to keep this XML file. If you provide XML file under normal packages, then how we are able to access it, all the concepts here we are going to understand. Don't worry for it. But let me prepare this project. But this is a standard convention. In general, properties files, XML files, JSON files, or some other this kind of files we are going to keep in general in what their resources only. That resources should be what their a source folder only. By default, source folders are available in what their class path. By default, source folders are available in what their class path. So no need to think again and again whether that resource is available in the class path or not. By default, source folders are available in the class path here. That's the reason why we are taking what their resources as a source folder. All right. Now inside this, I want to prepare like what there an XML. Now we have to click on like what there other. When we click on other here, might be here we are getting like what there this one. For example, observe carefully. I don't want to type this here. Now, actually here, if I type like this XML, automatically it will come. In the case, if it is not coming here, I don't want to type it, even if it is not coming there. Then what we have to do there, simple, directly we can scroll down. This is available by default. By default, it is available here like this. Then what I am telling there, directly you can scroll down up to where we have to search for what there, either XML or maybe web. Not web. If you go for this web, no, web related things are available, not required. Go with what there, XML. That XML option will come. Inside this XML, if you open that XML, there, what we have to do there, XML file, here we have to select. Understand my point here, where we have to select what there, XML file. Understand this clearly. Still, if this XML and this kind of things are not available, if they're not available, then what we have to do there, 1 minute I'm telling you. Now try to observe this clearly. Now here, if they're not available, then what we have to do there, file and 1 minute there, then not here, right click on this project, properties, go with the properties there. Right, sir. Somewhere else languages, something else is going to be happen. Where? Have you seen anywhere else like languages? Editor is okay. Java code style. And manage. Code templates. Java build, Java property page contains some modifications. Apply comments or something else. That's anyway, then at some other time I will give that information there. I need to go for some search, but languages part is going to be available through that languages here. We are able to check it. Otherwise, here we are able to get like what the window appearance and maybe show view is available here. No, this is only components, explicit components only here. We are getting preferences. All right. Now inside these preferences here, we have to check. Yes, sir. Languages, language servers only. Just wait. Yeah, here we can see like what there XML. Inside this XML here we have to get what there. This kind of things here we have to see. If they are available, then only we'll get that support from what there XML. If it is not available here inside this, no, then it is not possible to get that support. So what we have to do there, just we have to check it. Window preferences. There we have to go with what there at the bottom here XML is available. There we have to check for that XML. XML support is available or not. Still, if it is not available, if XML is totally hide it, not available for you, only one option. Uninstall it and again new version you have to install it. Apart from that, we don't have any other alternative. Try to check with it. Right, sir. Anyway, then, but it's very confirmed that in every IDE XML option will come. Okay, right, sir. Now let's see this one. Now let me prepare these resources. Right click on it and then new. Here we have to go with what there. XML file here we have to select. Now click on other there. There we have to type like what there XML. Just if we type XML, automatically it will come there. XML file. Click on this XML file. There I need to give name for this XML. What is the name here we are providing there? No, spring config.xml. Do you have any default name for this configuration file? Do you have any default name for the spring configuration file? In the case of web applications, in the case of these web applications, deployment descriptor is available. That is web.xml file. That name is fixed. Default name is what there? Web.xml file. Default location is what there? Web folder. In that way, do you have any fixed name for the spring configuration file? No fixed name. Any name here we can use. But whatever the name we have used there, that we have to be tell to the container. Why? Because container is only the person can talk with the Spring configuration file now. So whatever the name we have given for a configuration file, give that name to like what there to the respective application context. All right, sir. Now I want to give, as per my standardization, I want to give the name is like what there Spring config.xml. What's the name we are providing there? Spring config.xml. Now click on next button. Right, sir. Create file from a template. That's enough. Not required to go any other one. Now click on finish button. Now here we are getting like what there XML file. Then what next one here? Now tell me. What next one here? Here we need to provide XSD or not? From where we are able to get XSD? Now tell me. Come on. From where we have to get XSD? Now tell me. Right, sir. Then we must go with what there E drive. That means in my system where I downloaded that Spring jar file, then where I unzipped that Spring jar file there I have to go for that location. That means you have to go for E drive, softwares, inside this frameworks, and inside this where it is available Spring, where we have to go for Spring framework 5.3.9. Inside this I have to go with what there docs. Now inside these docs we have to go with what there references. Inside these references we have to go for what there HTML. Inside the HTML open with what there core. Now inside this just we have to scroll down one or two times, no, then we are able to get it. If we don't want to scroll down, then what we have to do there? Control F. Control F in the sense search. In the HTML file, search, we are able to get. There we have to type like what there? Beans. There we have to type what there? Beans. Click on enter button. Type beans, angular brace, beans, click on enter button. Automatically it will come for us. Now here we have to copy this. Copy this and paste this entire thing into the XML editor. Now here just we have to write like what there this beans tag. That's enough. Close this. Complete it. This is like what I'm telling to you. The bean component. That means XSD here we are able to get. After getting this XSD, then what next one here? Now tell me. Here we have to configure the bean or not. Here we must configure this bean. Am I right or not? Right. So now how we are able to configure this bean component here? Observe carefully. There we have to use like what there bean. Now tell me what attributes here we have to provide in the bean. No, two attributes we have to provide. What are the two attributes? No, one is what there ID. ID is equal to what we have to provide there. Now here I want to write like what there employee. In general I can write employee bean, not required. Any name we can use, but that should be unique name. All right, sir. Employee. Just simply I want to write like what there employee. Next one is what we have to provide there. Now tell me. Come on. What we have to provide there? Class. Class we have to provide. Class is equal to. Then what we have to provide there? Fully qualified name of the respective bean class. What's the fully qualified name? Now tell me here in this case no. Com dot Durgasoft dot com dot Durgasoft dot beans dot. What's that bean actually? Employee bean here. Now tell me inside this employee bean class, inside the employee bean class, how many properties we declared here? Employee bean class. How many properties are declared here? No, four properties are declared. What are the four properties there? ENO, ename, ECell, and EADDR. I need to configure them with the values now. So here what I have to provide there now? Tell me. Here we have to go with what there property. Inside this property name is equal to what? What is the name here we have to provide there? ENO. First one is what there? ENO. Then value we have to provide or not? Here value. Value is equal to something else. Some value here we can provide there directly. Right, sir. Observe carefully. Now here property name is equal to e name. Then what we have to provide there? Here we have to provide value. Value is like what there? Something else like what there? Durga. We can provide anything. Now here again here we have to provide like what there? Property name is equal to e cell. Then value is equal to like what there? There we have to provide like what there? Some 50,000. Something else here we are able to provide. Okay, fine. Next one is like what there? Property name is equal to EADDR. Value is equal to there we can provide some values now. That's okay, fine. All the properties here we configure there inside our Spring configuration file. Right, sir. Completed. Spring configuration file is completed. Next one, after that, after completion of the Spring configuration file, what file we have to prepare there? Come on, what file here we have to prepare there? Right, sir. Now observe carefully. Anyway, this is not required for us. Now let me delete it. Right, sir. Then after that, I need to prepare like what there? Test package. New package. What is this package there? Com dot Durgasoft dot test. Click on finish button. Now here we need to prepare like what is the new and class. What is the class name here? We have to provide their test. Public static void main string array args. Click on finish button. Now inside this, what we have to do there? Now tell me guys. All of you now tell me what I have to do there. I need to create application context object or not. Now here we have to prepare like what there application context. Application context is equal to new. Tell me what I have to write. New. Tell me class path XML application context. There as a parameter we have to provide what there name and location of the Spring configuration file. Name and location of the Spring configuration file here we have to prepare. What is the name and location now? Tell me. Directly we can provide like what there Spring config.xml. Is it required to specify resources here? Is it required to specify resources? No, not required. Not required. I said you already. Automatically source folders are available in a class path. Not required to specify their names. So source folder names are not required to specify. Automatically they are available. Still, if you are getting any doubt there about it, no. Now let us see this one here. Right click on this and properties Java build path. Java build path like libraries. Now observe carefully. Uh, Class path. Right, sir. Order and export. It is available actually. Module directly library is available. Spring file sources. Right. What is available here? No sources here. No. Now observe carefully. ABB03 resources is available. Next one is what there? ABB03 SRC is available. Both are available under like what there directly in like what there. No, we can understand under the class path only. Observe carefully. No. So that's why here sources are available here. So by default they are available here. Like this. No need to think about it. No need to keep them in like what they're directly in the class path location. Not required to think about it. By default they are available. No need to think about it. Right. So only this one. So now here, after preparing this application context, then what we have to do, guys? Now tell me after that. Right, sir. Right, for float, see, one more point I'm telling to you, not required here. Then for float now, we can give directly numeric values, integer value we can give there, that we are able to assign. Right, later on I will show that. For example, if I give dot 0f, what will happen? I'll give that clarity. No problem. I think so. Let me check that once again now. Right, so now here we are getting like what their application context here we have given, right? After getting this application context now, then what that application context is able to do, it will find the Spring configuration file, it will load and parse, read the content, recognize the bean configurations, identify the bean classes, then loading the bean classes, creating bean class objects, initializing bean objects by executing setter methods now, and keeping that bean object in the application context map. In the application context map, that bean object is stored with the identity id attribute value. That is what their employee to employee object. Now bean object is ready or not? Then we have to get that bean object now. To get this bean object here, what we have to do there? Employee. Now here we have to use employee is equal to what we have to do there, guys. Now tell me application context dot what next one here? No, get bean. Here we have to provide. Inside this get bean. Now observe carefully. We need to provide bean identity or not? Tell me what is that bean identity here we have taken there? Employee id attribute value is what there? Employee. Just copy this and paste that particular one here now. But still we are getting an error. Why application context dot get bean method is able to return that bean object in the form of object type, but we require that object in the form of what there? Employee. That means already object is available in a super type, but I want to get that in the form of like what there? Subtype. So we need to convert the data from super type to subtype or not? For converting the data from super type to subtype, then which type of typecasting we have to use? Is it upcasting or downcasting now? Downcasting here we have to use. Downcasting here we are able to use. There we are using like what there? Employee. Observe carefully how much that core Java is utilized in Spring framework. In core Java, when I discuss about downcasting, everybody is having question mark where we are able to use that. But how can I explain this topic by the time now? Where I prepared one program there, similar program I prepared, where I've taken one method where object type I've taken, where created object is for subclass that is written there. Again, the same situation I created here, but this is a utilization of the downcasting. In this here, we are able to get that core Java importance directly. Right, that's okay, fine. Now tell me. Now it is completed here. When we complete this part here, then employee object only here we are getting. Now here we need to access business method. What is that business method? Now tell me. Business method, employee dot display employee details method. Directly we are able to display all the employee details now. Let me execute this. Execute this. Now here directly we are getting all the employee details or not? All employee details here we are getting. That's okay, fine. Guys, observe carefully. E-cell float value here I have taken. Okay, now in the output here, what we are getting there, observe carefully. In the output, 1 minute. In the output, what we are getting, so now tell me, 50,000.0 we are able to get by default now. Okay, fine. If you want to provide some data, right? What data? No, 50,000.345. Something else here I want to specify. Yeah, for this is a perfect utilization of utilization of what their float value. Now let me check this. What is going to be happen there? Here we are getting value or not? Yeah, we can specify that. There is an internal topic here inside the Spring framework. That internal concept is nothing but what their property editors. Property editors. 1 minute. I want to share that point to you. What is the meaning of property editor? No. Whatever the values we provide in XML file, all these values are treated as a text data only. Maybe 111 or AAA or 50,000.0F. Everything will be taken as what their text data only. Internally, inside the Spring framework, number of property editors are available for converting the data from text type to respective primitive type, respective data types. Now, internally, property editors will take the responsibility of converting data from text type to the respective data types of the bean class. I got my point or not? Now, in the bean class, ENO property of type is what there? Integer. So there is a property editor. Integer property editor is available. It will convert the text data 111 to 111 integer data. The data will be stored in ENO variable. Next one is we provided this float value as a text here. So internally, float property editor might be existed that will take the value from this XML file. It will convert the data from text representation to respective float value. It will take care about it internally. Right or not? Of course, here we can specify like what there. In this fashion also here we are able to provide in our XML file. That depends on our requirement or we are going to implement this clearly. Right, sir. Now this is one base example here I'm telling to you. Let me copy this example in our document here. Later on I will go for some changes. Now here, this is like what there, example 3. Employee.java. That's okay. Now this is completed. Apart from this, Spring config.xml. Spring config.xml. Spring config.xml. After this, test.java. After this, test.java. Right, sir. Okay. This many things here we provided. Now leave this now. Okay. Now I want to go for some experiments. What is that experiments here? Especially Spring configuration file experiments here I want to do. Now tell me, as of now, where we provided this Spring configuration file, actually, we provided this Spring configuration file under what there? Resources here. Got it or not? Let's see this one. Point number 1. I'll move this Spring configuration file to directly SRC folder. I want to remove this. Resources are removed. Where I kept my Spring configuration file directly under what there? SRC folder. Right, sir. Now SRC folder it is available. Still, our program will execute our program there. Why? Because SRC folder will be available under class path. No, directly container will take that Spring configuration file from like the respective content. Still, our program will be executed. Getting output or not? Okay, this is one point. Next, observe carefully. So, two options I said to you. One is by creating a source folder like resources. We can use that. or else directly we can keep that configuration file under what there src folder. That one also here we can do. That's okay. Leave this one. For example, under src, I want to create a package com dot Durgasoft dot cfg. CFG is what their configurations, or maybe just I want to provide like what their config. Package names, user defined names. We can use any name as per our convention. Click on it. Now I want to keep this file under this config. Where is my Spring configuration file now? com dot Durgasoft dot config. The package is a folder or not? Definition of the package is what there is a folder. So com slash, not a dot, com slash as a folder name, folder structure we have to write now. All right, so now here in this case, then what I am telling there, observe carefully. Whenever we are writing the Spring framework, directly if I execute this, there we are able to get an exception. Observe carefully. What is that exception here? No, file not found exception here we are able to get. Let's see this. Why we are getting this file not found exception? Here itself we can identify file not found exception. All right, sir. Bin definition store something else. No. Parsing XML document from class path resources. Now see this. Parsing XML document from what there? Class path resources. Spring config.xml. Not available. Nested exception is what there? Nested exception is what there? Internal exception is what there? Java.iva. File not found. Why? Because if you provide like this, application context will search for spring config.xml under class path environment variable. What are available under class path environment variable there? If you have to the project properties, Java build path, if you have to this, under class path, what are available? Spring 5 lib is available. Under the class path, source folders are also existed. How many source folders are available? One source folder, src. Application context will search for it under what there? Src. Do you have any spring config.xml file under src? Not available. That means our application context will come to the src. There it will search for what there? Spring config.xml, but it is not available. That's why we are getting like what there? File not found exception here we are getting. Am I right or not? Okay, but now where is my Spring configuration file? Now tell me, my Spring configuration file is available under com.durgasoft.config under src or not? This package is available under src or not? Our application context will come up to src, but it is not coming to what there? com.durgasoft.config folder. If we give that information to the application context, then application context will come to this respective package where it will search for Spring configuration file or not. But application context by default it will come to src or not. Up to src there it is coming to src. There it is checking for Spring configuration file, but it is not identifying that Spring configuration file. But we know where that Spring configuration file is available. Where that Spring configuration file is available, sir? Now tell me, that's available under the package. Now what is that package there? com.durgasoft. Like config. Now there only Spring configuration file is available. So anyway, application context is coming to the src, where give information to the application context. Not only our configuration file is not available under src. Under src there are some folder structures. What folder structures there? No, com folder. Inside the com folder, Durgasoft folder. Inside the Durgasoft folder, which folder is available? Config folder. Inside the config folder, my Spring configuration file is available. Come there and take that Spring configuration file clearly. But how we are going to provide this message to the user there? To provide this message to the user, whenever we are specifying this Spring config.xml, there we have to specify com slash Durgasoft slash what next one? Config slash. I think so might be some people are thinking about, sir, why we are using that slashes now? It's a package name only actually. Package name only. Fully qualified name, why don't we specify now? Then people are thinking about like what there? Com dot Durgasoft dot config dot Spring config dot xml now. But think a minute about it. The Spring config is what? Is an XML file or Java class? XML file. If it is a Java class, we can write fully qualified name. Com dot like Durgasoft dot config dot a config classifier right now. There we can write like what their fully qualified name. But this is what their XML file. If it is an XML file, not possible to write fully qualified name. Fully qualified name is applicable for only Java classes. Fully qualified name is not applicable for what their XML resources. So not possible to write like this. But here what we have to do there, if you want to do that, in place of writing the dots, no, there we have to keep what there slash. Now if we keep slash, no, now it will be treated as what their folder structure. If we provide dots, no, then it will treat it as what their packages. Packages are having what their only Java classes, not XML files can. So that's why here we have to write what their com slash. What next one here? Durgasoft slash. What next one here? No, config slash. There we are able to write like what there? Spring config.xml file. In this way also here we are able to use now. Let me execute this program. Output we are getting or not? So if you want to keep that XML file under a particular package in SRC folder, then we have to give the total address of that respective Spring configuration file relative to the SRC folder. Relative to SRC, the total path here we have to specify. Then only our Spring configuration file is identified by the container. Container will create bean objects which are specified inside the Spring configuration file. That's it, guys. Now this is the way here we can understand clearly. Now tell me what approaches I have done there. First, directly I kept that Spring configuration file under resources. That means what is that? Source folder. Next one is what there. If you don't like to create source folder there, directly under SRC folder we can keep what there? Spring configuration file. No, not like that. I want to keep my Spring configuration file in a particular package. Then create a separate package. Inside this package we can create what there? Spring configuration file. But while giving this package name and configuration file name to the application context, there we have to provide everything in the form of directories only, not in the form of what their packages. There we have to write com slash Durgasoft slash, then what next one here? Core, that means com.durgasoft core slash Durgasoft slash config slash spring config.xml file there we have to provide. Sir, all of you are following or not? This is a clear cut information here we can understand clearly. Right, sir. I'm not going to provide the points now, but let me give one note, small note. After completion of this, I want to give that note here. Note. Or else maybe I want to say locations to store to keep Spring configuration file in a Spring applications. First one is by creating source folder, that is one approach. By creating source folder like resources, there we are able to keep that. Next one is after that, another one is what there directly under SRC, directly under what there SRC. Third one is what there by creating a package like com.durgasoft. What next one here? Config something else. Right, sir. So by creating source folders like resources, no problem. And by using SRCs also be no problem here. But what's the point here? No. All right, sir. In the first two cases, application context is able to take only Spring configuration file name. Spring configuration file name. Application context is able to take only Spring configuration file name. Why? Because by default all source folders are existed in the class path environment variable. Inside the ID by default all the source folders are existed under the class path environment variable. Next one is after that another one. In the third case we must provide XML file, Spring configuration file. We must provide what there? Spring configuration file. We must provide Spring configuration file as it's a full address to the application context. Alright, so in the third case, we must provide Spring configuration file name and location. Name and location as its full address to the application context. There we can see that example, or that example here I shown already. Now this part here I want to get copy. So we can observe carefully what I provided here clearly. That's our application context. Application context is equal to new class path XML application context com slash Durgasoft slash config slash spring config dot XML. That we are able to get clearly. That's it. All if you are getting clarity, no? That's it. Now, the are the various experiments here we can do. That's okay. Next one is after that, after completion of this, next one is IOC containers in a Spring framework. What is this next one here? IOC container in a Spring framework. IOC containers in a Spring framework. Right, sir. Basic programming is completed. How to prepare normal Spring application at basic level? Already we understood. Their internals also here we understood that officially we are starting core module of the Spring framework. In a Spring core module, what we are discussing there? IOC containers. IOC stands for inversion of control. IOC stands for what there? Inversion of control containers. First of all, tell me, I'm asking this question to you. What is the purpose of this container in Spring applications? Exactly. What is the purpose of the containers? No. Recognize the Spring configuration files. Recognize the bean configurations. Identify the Spring bean classes. Creating objects. Maintaining that objects. In a straightforwardly, I'm telling there, creating bean objects and maintaining bean objects. Creating bean objects and maintaining bean objects. That is the job of the IOC container. Clear or not? Right, sir. Now, how many types of IOC containers are available in Spring framework? If you observe this, two types of containers are available. Two types of containers in a Spring framework. What are the two types of containers in a Spring framework? No, one is bean factory and second one is what their application context. In the theory, I have given these two names already. Again, I'm telling there two types of IOC containers are available. What are the two things? No, one is what their bean factory, another one is what their application context. These two things are existed here. Now, immediately we are getting a question. What is bean factory? How we are able to use bean factory in our applications? What is application context and how we are able to use application context in our applications? Up to now, we prepared some 3 examples. Up to now, we prepared what there 3 examples. In all 3 examples, we have used what their application context. But without knowing the comparison between, without understanding the differences between bean factory and application context, by default, we are using application context. But in the later on, in our concepts like what their IOC containers, there we have to understand what is the requirement to come for application context over bean factory. After that, we are going to understand what their application context effectively. But as of now, at present, we have to put focus on like what their bean factory. After that, we are going to understand what their application context. Then what is this bean factory actually? Right, I'm giving clarity now. Try to understand this. No, bean factory is the initial container in a Spring framework. Otherwise, is a base container in a Spring framework. I'm asking one question to you in core Java. Try to answer for it. What is the very foundation class or base class in Java? What is a base class for every class in Java? Object class. Of course, I said you common and default superclass for every class is what there object class. Think about it. It's a foundation class or basic class in Java. It's a base. On the base of that only all other classes are developed. Got it or not? In the ground base class is what there? Object class. Object class is a common and default superclass for every class. Or object class is a base class for every class. Are getting my point or not? From this object class, other classes are defined. Similarly, in Spring framework, Bean factory is the base container. It's a base container, fundamental container, foundation. On the top of it only application context is provided. On the top of it only application context is provided. Okay, now what is the intention of this Bean factory? Bean factory is able to provide the fundamental behavior of the bean in our Spring applications. It able to provide the basic functionalities for the beans in Spring applications. Like what is the basic functionality of the container in Spring applications? No, creating bean objects, maintaining bean objects. That's enough. Bean factory is responsible for only what they're creating bean objects and maintaining bean objects, or supplying that bean object to the application. That's it. Apart from that, other advanced features are not supported by bean factory. But whereas application context is able to give support for the most advanced features also. Application context is supporting like what there, along with creating bean and maintaining bean, along with these two basic activities. No, application context is able to perform, is able to support internationalization service, event notification model, event handling, and what next one here. Apart from this event handling there, next one is like what there, something else like what there, data validations. And in a Spring web application and AOP module, AOP programming, all the advanced features are supported by what their application context. But the basic features are supported by whom? Their Bean factory. Bean factory is what their basic, very fundamental container, which is supporting for only basic functionalities with the beans, creating bean objects and maintaining bean objects. But whereas application context is supporting what their that most advanced features in our content clearly. That's it. All of you are getting it or not? Okay, fine. But how we are going to use this bean factory? What is this bean factory? Is it a class, or is it an interface, or is it an abstract class? What is this bean factory? Bean factory is an interface. Bean factory is what there is an interface. Whenever we are having interfaces in Java, definitely some implementation classes are required or not. Of course, that implementation class are provided by the same vendor or provided by third-party vendor. That's a different case. But first of all, when we have an interface, no, then definitely we require what there some implementation class. So for Bean factory interface, Spring Framework has provided one implementation class. That implementation class is what there XML Bean factory. What is that implementation class there? XML Bean factory. In which way we have seen application context is an interface and its implementation classes are like what there? XML, class path XML, application context. Similarly, Bean factory is an interface and its implementation class are what there? XML Bean factory. But how we are able to create object now? Tell me. In this case, interface we know, implementation class we know. How we are able to create object for container? Bean factory is equal to new XML Bean factory. New XML Bean factory. But for our kind information, what I'm telling there, XML Bean factory is an outdated class, deprecated class. XML Bean factory is an outdated class, deprecated class. Okay, up to Spring 5.x version it is giving support. In the next versions, it may be deleted. In the next versions, it may be deleted. So if it is a case, always we have to think about which container in our applications. No, application context only. Why? Because Bean factory is what there, XML Bean factory is what there is an outdated container. Okay, it's a deprecated container. But anyway, we have to understand its core functionalities. Then only we'll move on to what there application context there clearly. All right, sir. So we are able to create bean object. All right, bean object in the sense like what there bean factory. Bean factory is equal to new XML Bean factory. There we have to provide something. Okay, fine. Now tell me, all of you now tell me. If you want to create bean objects by the container, tell me guys, who is creating bean objects in Spring applications? No. Who is creating bean objects? Who's creating bean objects? Containers. Containers are creating bean objects. We are not creating bean objects now. Containers are creating bean objects in the Spring applications. But how containers are getting details about the bean classes? From where? From where containers are getting bean classes details? No, from where it is getting the data? Spring configuration file. From Spring configuration file only, containers are getting details for the beans. Got my point or not? From the Spring configuration file now. If a bean factory wants to get the beans data from the Spring configuration file, in the sense, Spring configuration file name and location must be provided to the bean config. That means to the bean factory or not? We need to provide the name and location of the Spring configuration file to the bean factory or not? Right. To supply Spring configuration file to the bean factory, to supply Spring configuration file to the bean factory, there we have to use a separate feature, that is what there, resource, not our source folder resources. Now this is a separate one, resource. Spring configuration file is nothing but what there, a resource that must be represented in the form of a resource object. That resource object contains only Spring configuration file details. That resource object must be provided to bean factory. Now bean factory will get the data from this resource. Now bean factory is able to create bean objects. That bean objects will be supplied to the respective application. So bean factory is depending on the resource object or not? Come on, sir. Bean factor is depending on what their resource object here. So this is what exactly the convention here we have to follow. So first we have to understand resource object. What is resource object? Then how resource objects are going to be created? How to provide these resource objects to our application? So that all the concepts here we have to understand clearly. So bean factor is depending on resource. That resource is representing XML, bean configuration file, Spring configuration file. How we are going to create resource object, then how resources are represented in a Spring configuration file, that we have to understand. That is a separate study totally. So if you want to use bean factory, first what we have to create? A resource object we have to create. If you want to create resource object, first of all, what we require there? Spring configuration file. The total Spring configuration file is prepared in what there? Resource object. That resource object we must be provided to what there? Bean factory. Now bean factory will create bean objects, and bean objects are supplied to the respective application. But in the case of application context, resource object is not required. Directly we can provide name and location of the Spring configuration file. Application context will create bean objects, and bean objects are supplied to the enterprise applications. Yes, sir. All of you are getting it or not? So this is the overall view about this IOC container. Just only introductory part only I am giving there. But when we are coming into the picture, so many concepts here we have to understand, right? So that remaining part I will discuss with you tomorrow, guys. Then tomorrow I will give the document also. Tomorrow I will start directly bean factory, and tomorrow max I will provide like what their application context. Both I want to complete max and tomorrow. You'll see some programming also tomorrow. But I'm requesting to everybody, before come for tomorrow's class, try to complete up to 2 to 3 examples I have given. Try to complete all 3 examples. Then only we are able to get clarity. Without that, not possible to get clarity. Otherwise, now tell me, sir, give tomorrow gap no, so that I want to practice all the examples. What are the 3 examples now? I'll give that. I don't have any problem. But you must complete these examples. Then only I'll move forward. Otherwise, not possible. Option is yours. You want to practice 3 examples, or you want to have class on tomorrow? Nice. Even myself also, I'm expecting class only. Why? Because max 3 hours of time we are attending the classes now. Out of 24 hours of time, except 3 hours of time, 21 hours of time is remaining, right? Why don't you practice there in that time now? Huh? In that time busy, na? Totally busy, right? Busy with Java, right? It shows clearly how much practice you have done inside the class now. Right? That's okay, fine. Then try to complete it and come for the class on tomorrow. Then only you are able to understand the content. Thank you guys. Thanks a lot. We'll meet on tomorrow. Yeah, Jayant. React classes. Let me check once now. I'll confirm it. Spring class, yeah, same time. Spring classes recorded videos will come, sir. Then maybe by Monday we are able to get Spring class videos. I think for one by one maybe they are providing now. Java 8 features, Ravi, on Monday onwards. Monday onwards I will plan for Java 8 features. Some gap I got there. Then Monday onwards I will take the Java 8 features. Don't worry. Yeah. Tomorrow same time. Tomorrow same time Spring class. Okay. Parameterized constructors and methods config we have not seen in the Spring configuration file. Yeah, I will discuss with you. Abhishek Sharma. Then we have a separate topic there, dependency injection. There I will discuss about it. Through constructor dependency injection, there we are able to see that content. Just now I introduced the normal concepts only. That's why we are discussing up to that. Jane, what is the benefit of making class inside a package in the sense for the sake of modularization, modularity, separation? Servlets, JSPs, and Spring, both the classes will be there tomorrow. Yes, exactly, Sonali. Both the classes are available. Jan said, I will take it. Yeah, I already remember that. I will give some schedule for it. Only one class I have to take in JDBC, then I will finish it. Definitely, I will discuss with it. Otherwise, might be some other batch is going in JDBC. When the topic is coming there, I'll give intimation to you for that class so that you can identify. Okay. Right. Tomorrow, 7 to 8:30 and 8:30 to 10. Both the classes are there, same time. Charan Kumar. No surprise as of now. I'll give surprise there. Then let me complete Java 8 features. Then I'll give surprise. Right. I forgot it, sir, actually, but you remembered me. After Java 8 features, I'll give surprise. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, Monday onwards, I'll restart this Java 8 features, guys. Don't worry. Then some gap I have taken there due to some health issues. Maybe Monday onwards, I'll continue that Java 8 features. Continuously, we'll get the content. Java 8, then after that, Java 9, all. Don't worry. Up to Java 19, we will discuss. No need to think, no need to have any second thought. Uh, thank you. How we are teaching Java, somewhere React JS trainers should also teach in depth. Please, humble request. Jayant, you're expecting React JS from me? Yes. How, sir? How it is now? So I'm totally busy with your Java package full stack now, right? Yeah, then we have some other trainers, good trainers. Then whose class you are attending now? Whose class you are attending now? React JS. Jayant, whose class you are attending now? Acha, no one, right? Yeah, we'll provide. Yeah. Now we have some trainers there. Let me talk with them. Actually, the online classes schedules are done by some other admin people actually. But you said you will start HTML and CSS. Ravi, then actually then I'm totally busy with this framework there. I need to complete these concepts now. So maybe then in the future if I start it, then I'll give intimation. Then we can attend for it. Yeah. Thank you guys. Thanks a lot. Thank you. For Java, do we need to enroll separately? No, those who are in core Java, that's sufficient. My core Java 830 batch people, they are attending there. Actually, the topic is pending for them. So I'm taking the classes. Yeah, it's a part of the core Java actually. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you guys. Then let me go for another class. I have another class, advanced Java class now. Now let me take it. So I'll see the remaining part in tomorrow. Tomorrow I will give some time for you. Then tomorrow I'll discuss. We'll have some discuss there. Okay. Fine. Thank you. Thanks a lot.